Hey everyone, welcome back to Critical Coverage. Today we're breaking down a moment about judicial philosophy and moral clarity. Let me paint the picture. Adeel Mangi, a nominee to a federal judgeship, was questioned by multiple senators. This time, Senator Josh Hawley asked a simple question. Do you agree with this statement? We are in awe of the Palestinian struggle against violent occupation and Israeli settler colonialism. So what did Mangi say? He dodged, again and again, claimed he didn't write it, claimed he didn't know about it, claimed he lacked the expertise to comment. 4 times Hawley asked him plainly, do you agree with this or not? Do you believe Israel has a right to exist? Do you regret not speaking out? No, yes, no condemnation. Just a lot of verbal dodging and academic word salad.
To start with you, I just want to make sure I understood your answers to my colleagues, including Senator Cruz. Let me just read you something. I just want to know if you agree with this or not. This should be simple. Here's a statement. The demand to center Israel's right to self-defense, that's in scare quotes, self-defense, erases the colonial context and delegitimizes the Palestinian right to resistance. We are in awe of the Palestinian struggle to resist violent occupation, removal, erasure, and the expansion of Israeli settler colonialism. Do you agree with that, yes or no? I realize you didn't write it, and you may not know who the author is. You may never have heard of these people before. I just want to know, does this represent your view, yes or no?
Senator, any attempt to justify what happened on October 7th, I have absolutely no...
Well, that's not the context here. This is talking about any discussion of Israel's right to self-defense erases the colonial context. It's calling Israel a colonial state. So could we just answer my question? Do you agree with this, yes or no?
Senator, I don't claim to be an expert on the Middle East. I don't have the historic or regional expertise.
That sounds like a maybe. That's a maybe? Maybe you agree? Can we get a yes or a no?
Each say this is a policy question or a question for foreign experts.
Wait, that's what I don't understand. By the way, this was written by the director of the center you sat on the board of, that you advised. This is the director, not some random professor, the director, who published it in an open letter. So when you say it's a policy, what's the policy about calling Israel a violent settler colonialist state? Why is that a policy question?
Senator, that is not a statement that I had any involvement with.
Okay, good. So would you condemn it then? You say this does not represent your views.
Senator, I have no basis as a judicial nominee to cast views on the Middle East or what does or does not happen.
This is what you're not answering my question. I'm asking you whether this individual who said that Israel was a violent settler colonial state, I'm just trying to get you to say, do you agree with that or not? And I've asked you now 4 different times, 4 different ways. You're not answering me. Why is that? Why can't you just say, no, I don't agree with this? Let's try again.
Yeah.
Do you agree with this statement, yes or no?
Senator, in order to agree or disagree with any statement, I need to have a sufficient factual background to assess it.
So in other words, you can't say whether or not Israel is a violent colonial state. You think that's a difficult question?
Oh, God. That is not an issue with which I have any expertise.
Is the Holocaust also a difficult question? Does that need context?
No.
Is that a policy question?
I am quite happy to address the Holocaust, Senator.
Why aren't you happy to address this then? Why is it that an individual in the center that you directed who calls Israel a violent colonialist state, those are racist comments, why can't you condemn that? I don't understand it. You won't answer my questions, you won't answer Senator Cruz's questions, you wouldn't answer Senator Kennedy's questions. I don't understand why this is complicated.
Senator, I'm Pakistani. I didn't grow up in the Middle East.
I didn't either. I didn't either, but that doesn't mean that I can't say that somebody who says that a Jewish state is a violent colonialist enterprise is wrong. This isn't a policy question, it's a moral question. This is a moral issue.
Senator, I am not in a position to make any policy pronouncements about actions in the Middle East.
Does Israel have a right to exist?
Yes.
Should American Jews be safe in their homes and on their campuses?
Senator, there is
Just
no
yes
one.
or no, please. Spare me the lectures. Yes or no?
Let me ask you, if someone sat on the board of a center where the director called Israel a violent colonial state, and they refused to say that's wrong, what would you think? Would you say they passed the test of moral clarity? Because I wouldn't. Senator Hawley called it out. You had a moral obligation to know what this center was promoting, and to speak out when rhetoric crossed into dangerous anti-Semitic territory. This isn't theoretical. Jewish students on campuses are being harassed, targeted, and told to stand in the corner. This is real. It's happening right now.
Did you advise against this letter? You sat on the advisory board. Did you advise against it?
I never even heard of that letter.
How is that possible? What did you do on this board for all these years? This was years before you left it.
It's an advisory board that met once a year to talk about academic research.
Do you not think it's relevant to the setting in the academy that Jewish students might feel unsafe when they have a tenured professor who's the director of a center saying that Israel is a violent colonial state? Do you think that may not have an effect on the educational environment?
Senator, I abhor.
But you didn't care to look into it?
May I respond?
But I've heard your answers, and they're all move over here, look over here. You're not answering any of my questions. And I can't figure out why. I can't figure out why you won't just say that this was wrong. So you didn't advise against it. You didn't condemn it. You didn't look into the center's activities. Do you regret that? Do you regret not at the time taking a moral stand against these frankly racist condemnations of Jewish Americans, Jewish people in the state of Israel? Do you think it was wrong for you to be silent?
Senator, I didn't know anything about it.
Why didn't you? Didn't you have a moral obligation to know about a center that you sat on the board of for years?
It's not the function of an academic advisory board, but I abhor.
But it is the function of a responsible jurist and a responsible citizen. And I would just suggest to you that you failed it. And your inability to just say, this was wrong, this shouldn't have been said, this kind of language and rhetoric is what has led directly to Jewish American students now being called out on campuses, in classrooms, told to stand up and go and stand in a corner because they need to feel what it's like to be colonized. I'm sure you've seen the reports of this happening across the country. This is happening now.
And this nominee, under oath before the Senate, couldn't bring himself to say it was wrong, couldn't say calling Israel a violent colonialist state was anti-Semitic, couldn't say he regretted staying silent. Maybe not. But it is the function of a judge to recognize bias. If you can't do that at the nomination hearing, what will you do with real power from the bench? This isn't about partisanship. It's about principle. When you nominate someone to a lifetime seat on the federal bench, the bare minimum we should expect is moral clarity. If you can't say a statement like this is wrong, then maybe you're not the right person for the job. Hit that like button, subscribe for more no spin coverage, and share this with someone who needs to see what's really happening. No spin, no filter, just the truth.